So we've got some folks joining us from some amazing programs. And we've got some new gappers coming into the fold to learn a little bit from you guys about what is up, and learning a little bit more about how your programs can support them on their journey. And I am just here to help facilitate the conversation and get things rolling. So maybe why don't we start out with just like a quick little intro. Who are you? What program are you with? And maybe one piece of advice you have for people considering a gap year. No big deal. Just who you are, what program you are, and one piece of advice if you could boil it down. Yeah, and we'll go. Well, you guys pick what order you want to go in.
I don't mind going first.
Go for it.
Awesome. Piece of advice is something up in the air, but my name is Josh, and I'm the Chief Ambassador at Discovery Year, which is an amazing gap year program. I'm also finishing my last year computer science at Carleton University, and on my own time, I sell products on Amazon.com.
Nice. I like it.
Piece of advice: if you don't have a clear direction, it's better to take time to find the direction instead of spending a lot of money on programs that might not be what you want to do.
Wise man, Joshua. Wise man.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's go up to Ariel.
Sounds good. Hey, everyone. I'm Ariel. I'm also representing Discovery Year, same as Josh. And I graduated from that program back in 2020. And it was an amazing time for me. So I love just being able to spread the word about it. I'm currently at the University of Ottawa taking communication, and I love just connecting with people through the things that inspire them. So that's one of the reasons I also love to do these sessions. And one piece of advice I'd say is to not be so worried about life timelines or feeling like you're falling behind other people during your gap year, because if you think about it more as just a step on your own path and investing in yourself and giving the time that you need so that, you'll be ahead of the game later or just in a different place than you would have been before. So think about it that way rather than being behind the rest of your peers.
I love that. When I talk about gap years, I often talk about it being a leapfrog move, where like you're kind of sitting there waiting and like just waiting, and then all of a sudden you're like, boing, I'm actually ahead of you. Like you're just like sitting on your pad being like, yeah, I see you racing and like trying to get ahead, and then all of a sudden you're just like, boing, I've actually got all my life figured out. Thank you very much, because I pushed pause and I got my act together and I made better decisions for myself. So feel free to use that. I don't know if it works for you, but I like talking about it in those terms. But super great to have you. Great advice. And Marissa.
Hi, everyone. My name's Marissa. I work for Katima Vic, which is a youth development organization here in Canada. And I work for the participant recruitment team. Today, mostly what I'd be talking about is our National Experience Program, which is a 5.5-month program. So great opportunity during a gap year. And you get to travel to 2 different locations within the country. You live in a house with up to 11 other participants. And it's focused mainly on volunteer work and just learning different skills during your time in the program. So I guess a piece of advice, if you are considering a gap year, a very simple piece of advice, I would say if you're already here and considering a gap year, just take the gap year and do that solid for yourself, because for sure you will build up skills during that year. I would say even take 2 gap years. Why not?
Yeah, what are you racing towards? Like retirement's a long way away. Why are we running so hard? So I like that. If you're already here, you're already considering it. Don't Don't succumb to the pressure of doing the status quo. I think it's something we all suffer from when we're doing something different. We're doing something, I like to say, bold, because it doesn't take confidence to take a gap year. You just have to be bold. You got to say, no, this is what I need. This is what I'm going for. And this is what's right for me. And I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to take up that space, and I'm going to stand up for what I need. And so I love that. Just do it. Take it. Do it now. It's worth it. Awesome. So I'm curious for both Katimavik and then Discover Year. What are the types of gappers that usually come into your program? What does that like profile look like? And what are some of the things that they mention at the beginning of your programs that they find challenging or that they're working on over the course of their year? So maybe we'll start with Katimavik and then we'll jump into Discover Year.
Sure. Yeah. I'd say our program, the National Experience, is for people between 17 and 25 years of age. So generally, there's probably two types of people that would join it. Someone either fresh out of high school who's kind of not sure what they want to do next, maybe looking to get out of their comfort zone and take that next step. Maybe they haven't lived on their own before, they haven't lived out of their parents' house. So definitely that demographic. And then we do have some people who join the program, a little bit into their 20s, who are more in the gap year situation. Maybe they've done a bit of education after high school, done some college classes, and they're not really sure if that's right for them. So definitely people in that demographic as well. And then some of the challenges I'd say that they're facing is really kind of getting that sense of what to do next. Obviously, I guess going into a gap year, you're already kind of curious about those things, those options that are open to you. So I think, having that as a challenge, like not sure which direction to take, joining a program like Discover Year or Katimavik is a great opportunity to kind of dip your toes into a bunch of different waters. I don't know if that analogy works, but to kind of
or the frog, waters make sense. Yeah, go for it. Roll with it.
Half hour of water analogies. So just getting the chance, I think, within a supported program where you have people around you who are also in the same situation that you're in. So you're meeting people who are kind of going through similar steps in life. So you're all kind of on the same plane and kind of getting to try a lot of different little things. I'm not for Katimavik, there's a lot of experiential learning. So, doing hands-on volunteer work, doing hands-on activities, learning about different competencies throughout the program. These projects all kind of help to develop different skills. So if you are having that challenge of what to do next, you're going to test a lot of things and be able to kind of get a better idea for yourself.
I like that. I like that you learn about yourself while doing other things and getting exposure to things that you might not have otherwise done, which I think is like a beautiful recipe for a gap year. Okay, what about Discover Year? How do you differ, or how are you similar?
In Discover Year's case, when we do target a similar age group where people who have just graduated high school or just in university feeling that maybe they want a different change of pace or so between 17, 18, and 23 years old. And the type of people we get vary on a scale. And I will say we'll start with the side of people who just want to explore. These are people that have been inside school for a very long time and done the tests, assignments, and classes routine for a majority of their life. And they say, well, let me just go out and see what's out there. So they want to, and typically their main focus is the travel component in the program where you can travel anywhere you want for the month of February. So they're like, I just want to see what's out there. And there are people who just want to take a break. So these people are like, okay, yes, I've been in the school cycle. Exploring is part of it, but my main focus is I need to reset mentally. Look at what I've been doing for the last 18 years of my life or so, or 22 years of my life, and say, let's just stop for a year and focus on the things that maybe I can, the non-tangibles, and see where I want to work on. Me, myself, I was I felt like I was being pulled in lots of directions by different people. As in, oh, my mom's like, hey, go be a veterinarian, even though I really didn't like the sight of blood or opening up animals. Or my brother's like, hey, you should go into game dev, by the way, because we both play games a lot. And I was like, no, that's a pretty good idea. Why not? And but I knew it wasn't my idea. It was something that someone gave to me. And so for me, I wanted to take some time on my own to say, well, instead of just following what people are telling me to do, let me take a decision for myself and decide for the next year or so what that looks for me, what my life will look like if I took charge of it. Well, Ariel had a little bit different case. So Ariel, how did you, what kind of archetype would you fall into?
Yeah, for me, I mean, in a similar way, I felt pulled in many different directions, but I think for different case, it was more so myself putting those different pressures on myself to try and make the right decision. And I was a very academic student in high school, and I kind of wore myself thin. So I definitely did need a break, although I wasn't willing to admit it to myself at first, until I realized that I didn't have the time or energy to figure out what I wanted to, like a post-secondary program that I wanted to do, and B, that I was just so scared of choosing the wrong thing because I felt like there were many different directions I could go into. I later learned once I took my gap year that there's not really such a thing as a wrong or right decision. So I've since like changed how I think about that, but that's definitely where I was at going into it.
I love that. You guys just dropped so much wisdom. So like everybody watching here, like this is the wisdom that you come out of your gap year with after you've experienced life and you've grown and changed as a person. And I think it's just so beautiful to be able to maybe see yourself in having that wisdom a year from now. I think that's just so beautiful to hear.
Well, I'm 5 years out, by the way, and the wisdom keeps on getting better and better.
Yeah, older and wiser, right?
That's right.
But I think a lot of the skills that we develop on a gap year, I'm going on a tangent here, but they really do support us. They are your foundational skills for life that you continue to tap into, whether it's your ability to live with other people in one of the Kitimavik houses, or navigating relationships, or the self-awareness that comes through the Discover Year program. Like all of these skills are so foundational that it just shapes who you are as a person and how you show up in life every day after your gap year is over. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox now and get back to my questions because we want to get lots of information out of you guys. Now, one of the things that I talk about in gap year planning is the importance of community. And that's really such a necessary component because a lot of people are like, I'm on a gap year, I'm on a personal journey, like get out of my way, I'm going to do this myself, I've got this. But what we know working with people taking gap years all the time is that community is often very central to your ability to feel successful, to feel fulfilled on your gap year. So I'm curious how that community aspect plays into the work that you're doing and how that helps people who want to do life independently. How does that scaffold them and help them grow to become more independent? So maybe we'll start with Kitimavik and come to Discover Year. And then next time we'll go the other way.
Yeah. In the national experience, obviously it's a very community-based program. You're going to 2 different communities within Canada during your time there and doing volunteer work directly with a small volunteer center or donation center or shelter or community garden within that community. So there's that aspect for sure where you're actually making connections within these 2 communities within the country, and building that relationship with those people. And a lot of our gappers or participants, whether they be gappers or whatever they are in their life, they end up going back to those communities at a later date. Some people, during their volunteer work, they build a really great relationship with those people in the community, and they end up going back to actually work for those, what was once their volunteer placement and now is a job for them. So that's definitely something that happens. And then within the households themselves, obviously all the participants build their own tiny community of up to 11 people in that household, which is, I think, something that's super helpful for people who may not have had the experience of leaving home before, or living on their own before, or even if they've had the experience, maybe just have had like living in a residence for university or something like that. Getting the chance to really gain those skills of living independently, but within a supported framework, I think is a really nice transition, going from, if you are maybe around 17, 18 years old and leaving house for the first time, to, afterwards wanting to have your own place, for example, having that nice framework in between to be like, okay, I'm gaining these skills. I know how to cook a meal for 10 other people now. I know how to do cleaning. I know how to take care of houseplants. And then going off on your own is a nice kind of transition.
And don't forget about the bread.
The bread, of course. Yes, in the Katimavik households, you are not allowed to buy bread. You have to bake your own bread. And there are many, starting back from the late 70s to now, many bread recipes that you will learn during your time in a Katimavik household.
Essential skills, right? Like, this is these are all the little things I like to like pull out, being like, don't forget the bread, don't forget this little thing, because that's what makes all of these experiences so unique. And you can talk to anybody who's done Katimavik since like the 70s, like we're talking like 50 years of people, and they will all be able to tell you stories about their Katimavik experience. Fun fact, my co-founder actually is a Katimavik alum. So really, really lovely. Okay, what about community with Discovery Year? What is that all about? How does that support your evolution as a human into being a full-fledged grown-up, if that's a thing?
Within Discovery Year's community, it is twofold, because there is the tight-knit community the students have with each other that is built on trust, but also they can feel vulnerable in their smaller roundtables, which we support, where every Wednesday the students will get together, and we made sure that at each table there's only, for one student, there's 5 other students and one facilitator. So the students are not feeling that classroom pressure of, I don't want to sound stupid by saying something that I'm struggling with, or I don't want to stand out and individualize myself. So we make sure that the students feel okay to feel vulnerable and express themselves, and when they meet up every Wednesday for their roundtables, but also in our larger community with our amazing mentors that come in. And these are mentors or professionals from many different fields, and they'll come in and express their profession, but also their biggest struggles to get to where they were today. And these are successful people. And you see successful people having struggles just like you and me do every day. It humanizes them and makes it feel like, wow, like this person that I had on a huge pedestal, I can see now they're just like me in many ways. These people are amazing because they always offer up, hey, link up with me. Add me on LinkedIn. Here's my card. Anytime you want to talk, we can talk. And they come back to our events that we hold as well. We have for our Christmas events and whatnot. And so that same person that you met up with, who's in software tech, in my case in software, that openly showed me his office at TripAdvisor, now is at the same Christmas dinner, and he's the one that inspired me to go into software in the first place, which is very cool. So it was very cool to have these amazing, successful people come in and honestly be part of our community. So that was our twofold aspect. Ariel, do you have, is there anything that I missed?
In terms of how it's the structure of it and stuff, you can't think of anything to add, but I'll just add from my own experience that I think as someone that does enjoy, like, or was originally thinking of doing a gap year without doing a structured program, finding Discovery Year and the way that the community really helps with intentionality and like having that structure, I I think it helped me to stay on track during my gap year, and the people, both the students and like facilitators in the program, helped me to process my goals, both by discussing it with people and then also holding me accountable to the things that I come up with. That helps me to actually like keep a forward momentum and keep stepping out of my comfort zone, because there were so many times during my gap year that I was like, man, I want to do this, but I am so scared, or like I just feel so nervous about it. I don't know how I'm going to go through with it. And then thanks to the community that I could talk about those things with, and then they could encourage me in it, like point out my strengths, and then also ask me the next week, hey, how did that thing go? And then it's a little bit of pressure to add to like actually like take that step out of comfort zone. But I found that super helpful.
I love it. Yeah. And I like what you guys were saying about the accountability, because a year of programming for yourself is a long time. That is a lot of hours and days to go from an environment where literally somebody rings a bell, they tell you what room to go to, what seat to sit in, what questions to answer, to just an open blank page of like deciding everything. That's very overwhelming, and no fault of your own, but you are not prepared for that. Life hasn't set you up for that. So there are lots of ways to get that support through community, through programs with facilitators that are going to help support you in that, and expose you to things that you never even knew. And my grandfather was a really wise man. And he always would say, you don't know what you don't know. And so if you just stay with what you know, if you stay in your comfort zone, you're never going to get out of your house. You're never going to challenge yourself. You're never going to push yourself. And by surrounding yourself with community and people that are also there pushing themselves, you have that accountability. You've got those cheerleaders. You've got the structure to be able to support you in your growth and in experiencing new things that might have scared you if you were just trying to do it solo. So it's really interesting to see. Also, for those of you who are thinking about post-secondary afterwards, the stats on people returning to post-secondary after taking a gap year is between 81 and 90%, depending on the study. And the difference between the 81% and the 90 is the if you were registered in a structured program, you were closer to the 90% return rate, because there is that structure, there is that support. You don't just kind of get launched into oblivion and you're just like floating around in space being like, I'm on a gap year. And then you forget, oh, I need to apply for post-secondary, or like I need to find a job. There's somebody there to kind of like pull like your little balloon string and be like, come back. Like we got things we got to do, and to encourage you on the way. I should have come up with some sort of analogy about the sea and the wind, because we were doing water analogies, but I went outer space. It's a very intergalactic session right now. Now, Josh, you guys were talking about your Wednesday sessions. So we've only got a couple minutes, but I want people to get a sense of what is a day in the life look like for both Discovery Year and then Katimavik, to really kind of see if they could see themselves participating in this program. So what does it look like on a day in the life? If you guys want to share, we'll start with Discovery Year and then we'll jump over to Katimavik.
Sweet. Ariel, think you can tell us a bit of a day in life?
Yeah, for sure. So with Discovery Year, as Josh mentioned, we have our Wednesdays, which is once a week. And then so during that day, we come together, all the peers that are doing Discovery Year at the same time as you. We did workshops. These workshops are less of the stuff you learn in high school and university, classroom oriented, and more along the lines of either like time management, entrepreneurship, building interpersonal trust, financial planning, things that are very practical skills, and some that are more like interpersonal things that I didn't even think about was something you could learn. you're just learning that together in a very experiential way, just through discussion, through activities, things like that. As Josh mentioned, we also have our network of mentors, and that you get to talk to them during those Wednesdays as well, in your smaller groups of students. Have the chance to ask them questions. Asking questions was another skill that I learned throughout my Discover year, just how to ask a good question, and that gets people talking, but is also really meaningful. So that is another thing. Also, the round tables where you do get to share about what's been going on during your weeks, and whether the successes or the challenges, and you can support your peers in that way. And what you're talking about during those often comes from the rest of the week, which usually most other days you'd be working. Where you're working, up to you. So that's like a typical week. And then, of course, we have our travel period in February. Your daily life looks a lot different during that time, because it depends on where in the world you end up and for how long. But that's generally what it feels like to be a Discover Year student. Josh, did I miss anything?
That was perfect. I think the last thing would be that on the last Wednesday of every month, we'll go on Adventures into Community. So these are points of interest for students after they leave Discovery, which is like Ottawa U or Carleton here in Ottawa, or other universities, wherever city you're in, and or different workplaces that are interesting. So how it look like when you're in an office, even though right now we all work from home to a degree, we still want to know what it's like to be back in a really cool office. So that's the last thing.
Amazing. And just a point of clarification, you guys have an in-person program in Ottawa. So either if you are local to Ottawa, or if you want to kind of head and hang out in Ottawa, that's an option. And you also have a virtual opportunity as well, correct?
Yes. So we do a hybrid model, we do a fully remote, and also we have a location in Boston coming up this year if you're interested.
Wicked. So cool. Awesome. What is a day in the life? We're going to jump ship over here. Ship, see, we're back on the water. Over to Kitimavik. What is a day in the life of Kitimavik?
So the schedule during your time in the National Experience Program is built by the participants themselves. We give a framework. So generally days are broken down into 3 sections of time. You got morning, afternoon, and evening. And with the group of participants, you'll build out a weekly schedule based on those time slots. So every day looks a little bit different, but generally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you will do your volunteer placement the morning and afternoon slots, so about 32 hours a week. And then besides that, we set forth a framework of competencies that we want our participants to build during their time in the program. And so we ask the participants to, based on the list of competencies that we give you, to create activities to learn about those things. So other time slots will be taken up by these learning activities that you've planned yourself, or sourced out. Perhaps you're getting someone to come talk to you about budgeting. So maybe you'll have a workshop planned one afternoon. And then besides all that, obviously there's the daily things, cooking and cleaning and all that kind of good stuff. And then we do put in, again, into that weekly schedule, some time slots for self-care. On Fridays, generally the morning and afternoon has a truth and reconciliation learning platform. So again, the weeks, they kind of depend on the participants, how they want to set up their weekly schedule, but that's a little breakdown of what it looks like. But you do get a lot of autonomy, which is another great thing to learn about during your time in the program, and kind of get the confidence to see that you can source out these activities and build these schedules yourself.
I love it. I think these programs are so fantastic, and really well supported, and really focused on the development of the individual, which is just so beautiful to see, and just seeing how people grow and change, which is really, really interesting. So I'm curious if you guys could let us know what your application process is looking like for this year, as well as how much your programs cost. There was a question in the Q&A there about what that looks like financially. So curious if you could just let us know. We'll start with Katimavik, then we'll go to Discover Year. So what does enrollment, application, and fee structure look like?
Sure. So our upcoming cohort is July 13th, and we are taking applications for that cohort until June 22nd. So still a little bit of time to apply. The application's super easy. You just go onto the Katimavik website. It's an online application. You'll see many apply now buttons all over the website. And it's about, I think, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how much you want to write, but about 15 to 20 minutes to fill out the online application that will be sent to us. And then we'll do a little follow-up phone call with each applicant to just discuss your application, talk about any questions you might have about the program and all that good stuff. And then besides that's the entire application process. What was the second half of that question?
The cost for the program.
The cost, yes. So Katimavik National Experience Program is a fully funded program, which is pretty awesome, I think. So that means all of your travel costs to and from those host communities to the second host community back home at the end of the program, that's all covered. The lodging costs, the living in the Katimavik house, all that is covered, all your food costs. And then obviously within the house, there's all the things that you need. So you don't need to bring sheets or even soap, shampoos, cleaning products. Those are all in the house as well. So all of that is completely funded. We do, when you're accepted into the program, you do have a fundraiser project at the beginning of the program, well, leading into your start date, which is a goal of raising $1,000. But that again is something that we are very happy to work with each individual. If $1,000 maybe is not feasible for your situation, but $700 is, you just have to talk to us about that, and we're very happy to move that goal around.
Awesome. Thank you. And then you do have other cohorts as well. So you've got that July cohort coming up, and then what would be the following one?
And then after that, so each year, generally it's January and July that we have a start date. So after this July cohort that's coming up pretty soon, the next one will be January 2023, and then July 2023, and then so on.
Perfect. Yeah. So no matter where you are on your journey, there will be a Katimavik cohort available to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And Discover Year, what is your application process looking like?
Yeah, so our application right now, it is nearing the application deadline, which is June 5th. But basically, it just involves writing a personal statement about why you want to do the program and why you think you'd be a good fit. It involves getting some references. So if you are interested in applying for Discover Year this year, I would get on that soon so your references have enough time. And then also it'll involve doing an interview, very low pressure, just to get to know you and your character and what you bring to the program if it's a good fit. We don't look at grades at all. And that's to start the program in July. So the application deadline is June 5th. Starting in July, and it's a full 1-year program. So it goes from July until July, basically.
Well said. Really important for references, it can take a little time, and because we're nearing the June 5th, anyone who's interested in the program, highly recommend that you reach out to your references soon, whether that be bosses, coaches, anything like that. And we just want to get to know you. We're not here to scrutinize you in any way. The reason why you want to talk online or for the interview after is just to see who you are, and we know exactly who you say you are. The cost is $7,900. but the program is built in a way so that students can pay for it all on their own, like I did when I was a student. Overall, like a student will work 30 hours a week, and they, at a minimum wage job, they would come out with a program with more than what they spent on it, roughly around 6,000 more. So I definitely recommend anyone who would join the program. The cost is not the biggest issue. It's how you manage your money when you're in the program.
And they have a budgeting workshop to help you with that. So we can all have the skills to do it.
Also, as to, I think the question also about whether you can enroll without paying in advance, you can apply and that is fine. If you do end up getting accepted into the program, there's a deposit. So you don't have to pay the full amount up front. After that, there's options for like monthly installments or a few lump sums, that sort of thing. And you can also, it's a certified post-secondary program, so you can use RESPs and other things like that on it.
Awesome.
Amazing. Okay, well, we are over time. We can talk for days and days about the values of gap years and the incredible programs that you guys are connected with. And I would highly recommend anybody checking out this video to check out the Discover Year program and Katimavik and the many other programs that are out there. There are incredible resources for you on your gap year. So Ariel, Josh, and Marissa, thank you so much for joining us today. And we will make sure that folks come and check out your booth or head directly to the websites.
Thank you so much for having us, Michelle.
Thank you. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Michelle.
Bye.